Welcome back, everybody. This is the Natives in America podcast. This is Benjamin, your host, with my co-host, Sky Anto.
Yo, how we doing?
Yeah, there he is. Maybe you're on your phone now listening to this, or maybe you're at home watching it on the TV, but tonight's episode is going to be about smartphones. We're going to call it the era of the smartphone or the age of smartphones. And we're just going to discuss the positive and negative effects of having smartphones on maybe our youth and maybe society. I think is what Sky's getting at. This is a subject that Sky brought to us, and he brings some randomness to us. So we're going to discuss it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna tell you, I guess, from my perspective of a phone versus the cell phone, and now this the smartphone.
Okay.
But, so, like, I think it was maybe 11. No, I think I was senior. I was a senior in high school, and my mom, she was either going to be away for some time or on travel. I can't remember what the reason was, but she had the idea of giving me and my brother a cell phone. And it was like, it had one game on it, and it was just only for I guess we used it like a normal phone, but like the main reason was in case we needed to get a hold of our mom or call whoever. But it was like pretty much a landline in our pocket. And so like, yeah. And even taking it to school, that was like kind of like a big deal, because even I remember my grandma having a cell phone when she lived in Tucson, and it was a pretty big. It was almost like a double flip phone, where the bottom flip and the top flip.
What?
The antenna popped out. Like she was ahead of the game, because she had this like pretty cool cell phone. So
hers was the flip open.
Hers was a flip, but it was like she almost got it. It felt like she had it before it was even popular, or it was even like, it became more like, as we got older, it became more and more of a thing. And I think that's where I'm kind of getting at it, to where now kids really young have like these cell phones, smartphones that have all these capabilities, and it's just, I mean, they can still get a hold of their mom, kind of like similar to what, like why we had it, but it wasn't the same as like access to almost more than that circle of who you were getting a hold of. I guess the reasoning of a phone versus the reasoning of a smartphone, that sometimes it doesn't feel like they're the same thing. Some smartphones don't even need to be activated, and they're still a tool, something to have, something that can do all this pretty cool stuff if you have Wi-Fi. So
shit, a computer in your pocket, really.
Exactly. So before we started recording, I told Benjamin, am I jealous? And I'm just like nagging, because it's like, oh man, you guys can watch Hulu and download movies and do all this stuff that we can play Call of Duty and Fortnite in your car, you know, like. And then there's this other part of me where I'm like, oh, I'm concerned for the youth. You know, I really don't think that's the only thing you're gonna need to be successful in the world. You know, you got to actually venture out and, you know, get your feet dirty and your hands dirty. And I don't know, just comparing, I guess, maybe to what we had to what they have. And
you're sounding old as fuck right now.
I know. That's why I'm trying to figure this out, because I don't want to be old. I want to be able to get it, but I also want to be like, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I'm old and I'm not. I want to go back to a time where smartphones weren't a thing, because that's what I know.
Do you though? Like, really?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like to go where we don't have it anymore is a little spiteful. You know, like, fuck these kids. They don't. If I couldn't have it, they can't have it. So I mean,
not like that, because I'm talking about making use of your time regardless of having the access to this cool technological device. Like, you know, we still got things done. We still, you know, we did everything the smartphone did, but we weren't glued to a screen. We're walking around.
You know, I feel like we've had this conversation time and time again, just under different subjects. Because it's like it's real. We're talking technology, really, and we're talking access to the internet, and we're talking. You know, you mentioned attention spans. Every time I tell people about the podcast, and I'm going, oh well, we're capturing these moments in time, and we're you know, creating a picture of who we are at this certain point in time for the future. And I always add this little, like, as long as the internet's still here. You know, like, it's going to be here forever as long as the internet's here, is what I always say. And in my mind, like, it's guaranteed we're going to lose it at some point. Like, we're either going to blow ourselves up, or some kind of, you know, crater, some asteroids on its way, and it's going to knock us out. I liked that. I always think about the library and books and human knowledge, our collective knowledge. I'm starting to believe, you know, based on all the old rock formations that are all over the planet, like there's these huge rocks that we can't even move, but they were obviously moved and used in building. And, you know, I'm starting to get the picture that there was a much more advanced society on Earth before us, long before us. And so we're like, oh, these people are ancient peoples. But I think even before what we consider ancient people, there was a civilization here on Earth, and they got wiped out. So it's like they knew even more than we know now, which is kind of hard to think. It's like, all right, we're here with the technology we have and all these capabilities, and yet someone far older than us, thousands of years older than us, had more. So I'm always thinking in terms of like what's going to happen when we lose technology, if and when we lose technology. Like I always think about books. Like all our books are going online now. We're releasing Audible and the Kindles, and you know the Kindle. I don't know what they call it for Kindle, but it's like you read your books online. They're all digital, and libraries, you know, they still exist, but are they still being populated with new stuff? And I sometimes wonder, you know, if we lose it, are we even going to be able to do what we're capable of now? You know, the generations that are coming up after us, they all have the smartphone. You know? Like my boy, like you said you were a senior in high school. I think I got a phone when I was either a freshman or maybe a sophomore. And I remember it was like a walkie-talkie. And the only way I could text was that whole, you hit each button 3 times to get the last letter, and if you screwed up, you had to go back and start it all over. And I got really quick at like just tapping the buttons, like just to do a single sentence. And now we have a digital keyboard. And I was thinking, like, fuck, I didn't have a smartphone until I think I bought my own when I went to college. Like, but I had that same, I think even when I was in college, I had that same, it was like a droppable, hardcore, outdoor, walkie-talkie cell phone. And all it was like you said, a landline in your pocket. Like, it couldn't do much.
And then calculator.
Yeah, calculator, stuff like that. And then
alarm clock.
And then my son was born, and probably about 2.5 to 3 years old, he could operate the Kindle Fires, the tablets, and he could find stuff. And then probably about 3 or 4, he could basically get on YouTube and find his own movies all by himself. And it's like, shit, I wasn't even capable of doing that until I bought my first smartphone, and I was already well on my way into college, so early 20s?
Yeah, it sounds
I was like 19? Does that make him more, is that like guarantee they're going to be more advanced than we are?
I don't know.
Is it a leg up? Like that? I think that's a huge question here. Is it a leg up?
It is in the computer world, but in the world where computers don't exist, maybe it's a skill that is not really have a value, but I guess that's kind of where I'm wrestling with, because it's like there's value in going outside and actually, I don't know, maybe what we're doing what are we really doing on the smartphones that is so up there, you know? I mean, we're taking pictures, we're posting them.
We're doing stupid shit on a smartphone.
It's not like you said a computer. It's not like we're...
an advanced computer.
Maybe some of us are, but it's like, I don't know.
I like that you mentioned the world where computers are necessary and then a world where there aren't. And again, when I brought up like the end of the world or this doomsday scenario where there is no technology, it kind of has to be that. Or it's like you chose to go camping and there's nothing out there, which I think is becoming a more rare and rarer thing. Like for me, growing up, camping was huge and I loved it, and it was like something I still talk about. But I wonder if my son will ever understand it the way I do, or love it. Like if I take him camping, he's going to lose his shit that there's no Wi-Fi. You know?
Yeah.
So like,
where's the Wi-Fi?
yeah, it's like, hey, I don't know what the password is. I can't connect to YouTube. What the hell's going on here?
I was gonna say, well, what do you like about the smartphone? I guess, why is the smartphone?
Well, you wanted to talk about Elon Musk last week, and we didn't. But I think about Elon Musk a lot, and I think when Linus comes on, we're probably going to talk about him too, but in a different fashion. But what he was talking about was that the way he put it was, we are already cyborgs. Like, we're always talking about the future and how we're going to kind of meld with machines, and we call that cyborgs. Like, we're going to have implants and all this stuff. And he's saying, Elon Musk is saying, we're already cyborgs, because we're attached to our phones.
Yeah.
And our mind is elevated and or quote unquote improved by having this smartphone in our pocket. So if you want to know the definition of something, you can have it in a matter of seconds to minutes by just whipping out your cell phone. So it's like your brain is no longer required to hold all this knowledge. You have access to the world of knowledge on your phone. And the way he was putting it was, like right now, I think I brought it up before, but he's working on a technology where we can scan our brain and copy our personality onto a computer. And he's also working on a project where they're implanting chips into people's brains so that they can interact with a computer through their brains. And what he called it was the bandwidth. He said we're constantly working on bandwidth, and what he meant by that was how quickly information will transfer between our computer and our brain. So he's saying with our cell phone, like I just said, it takes a couple of seconds to minutes to get the definition of a word that you just thought of or heard, and you go, oh, what is that word? What does that mean? And then you go to look it up, and it takes a certain amount of time to collect a certain amount of data. That's the bandwidth. And he's saying at some point they're going to put computers in our brain, and they're going to increase that bandwidth. So instead of grabbing something physically and turning it on and maybe unlocking your screen and typing something, instead you'll be thinking it and typing something with your mind or maybe blinking your eyes, and boom, it's that much faster. So he's talking about increasing our bandwidth of information. And I don't know what the point of bringing that up was. It's just, what was the point? What was the point of bringing that up?
You're talking about what do you like about smartphones?
Oh,
what is it about?
Okay. So what I'm getting at is that I love that.
That was helpful, though. That was helpful.
It's like I was waiting to bring that up, and I think I brought it up too soon. I like that. Like there's a bunch of words that I know growing up. I've heard them enough. You know, I've heard these words enough just through sheer context. I know what they mean. But then if I'm going to step forward and try to use that word, I feel I better know what the hell it is. So I Google words all the time so that if I'm going to use it in my lexicon, in my language, I better know what the hell it means. Like I just recently looked up facetious. Like I hear that word all the time, and through context, I'm like, oh, I know what that means. But in reality, I don't know the definition of it, so I had to look it up. And it turns out it is what I am all the time. And I'm joking without even really acting like I'm joking. Like I'm constantly joking, even though it doesn't sound like I'm joking. So it's being funny without context, kind of. It's like you're being facetious. So I hear that all the time, and I thought I knew what it was, but I didn't. So automatically I pull out my phone, define facetious. And what's even cooler is spelling. I can hear a word all the time. I know exactly what it means, but I've never spelled it before. And again, I pull out the phone and I start to type it, and Google starts suggesting stuff, and then it's like, boom, I know how to spell it now. And I didn't have to learn it. I didn't have to go to a library and pick up, the dictionary. Back in my growing up, my childhood home, we had encyclopedias and dictionaries laying around.
Oh, yeah.
People were selling us whole collections, and maybe we only had, A through E. So if you needed to know something in another letter, you're screwed, So the phones are incredible in that capacity for me. It's like instant knowledge, and if I want to learn something, it's available to me. You know what I mean? Like say say I like here's another example. I've taken apart the inside of a toilet and replaced stuff with new parts in the toilet. But then the other day I've only ever seen people remove a toilet and replace the ring under it. And then one day I was using our toilet and I noticed that the room kind of smelled like piss. And I saw on the floor the tile had piss coming up through the seams, and I realized our toilet is leaking into the floor. So then, without needing anybody else, I watched a YouTube video. Next thing you know, I know how to remove a toilet and replace the ring.
Wow.
So that's what I use it for all the time, is I wind up repairing stuff that I never would have been able to do, or I've only seen somebody do, and now through the magic of smartphones and YouTube, I know how to do it now. So, yeah, I think that's what I love about them. What about you?
When you were talking, I was like, damn, what is it that you know, there was a day when the community had a swap meet and they were fundraising.
Uh-huh.
And they were selling breakfast burros.
Okay.
And I want to say, she's related to me. I just don't know what to officially call her, but she's pretty much like, you know, probably maybe she's tired of my auntie, but like she makes like Gemma's like no one's business. Like she's on her game with her Gemma. You know, everybody wants her Gemma in the meal. So she was making Gemmas over the Como that day at the community when I was waiting for my burro, and I told her, I said, hey, is it cool if I make a video of you making Gemmas? And she was like, you know, go for it. And so, like, you know, I just did some shots of her, like, doing the dough of the ball and then making it into this Gemma or tortilla or whatever. And she did it so magically, and it was good. And I made it into a TikTok. And I posted it, and it just got crazy. Like, you know, with TikTok, I don't know if it's like the more someone likes something, the more someone else can see it. But just the way that it works, it just seems like people see it more. And with that particular post or TikTok, I haven't even checked how many views it has, but like the last time I checked, it was like in the 30,000s.
What?
But like, and compared to all my other TikToks, that like they don't really, to me they do okay, but it's just for that one video, and you know, I think for me I think people were impressed by her making the tortilla, where the chumuk, where it just like people are amazed by the craft, and it just got a lot of attention. And like even that community event was like a couple months ago, and like still since then every day people like that video.
Wow.
And you know, that's just me posting something on an app on the smartphone that like it was fun for me to make. And the fact that, you know, people are still watching it and looking at it, it's just kind of like, well, that's maybe the interaction of how a smartphone can link you to, you know, certain pools of people, or, you know, people do like respond well to like maybe a picture you do post, or I don't know, just with that TikTok one, it was like pretty cool because it was like, wow, I got a response.
Huh. Well, yeah, fuck yeah, 30,000. What's crazy is, I think on Instagram, I was going, swiping, just going up and down, and I started looking at something like, I want to say like backyard tree houses and forts, because I was thinking about building stuff for the kids. And in that, I wound up looking at architecture, and then from there, I somehow found like a, I want to say it might have been Iraqi architecture. It might have been Iraqi, or the flag was orange, white, and black, and I think that's in Iraq. And anyway, so I wound up liking somebody's, like they were going through new age hotel buildings and business buildings, and what it was like modern architecture with a touch of traditional designs, and I liked it. So I hit like, and then I started seeing more of them, and then after a while I started getting follows and messages from Iraqi people, which I'm sure put me on some kind of weird list, but that's not the point. The point is, I then became connected to people in another country on the other, like maybe not the other side of the world, but pretty far off. And then recently, I was looking at our like where our video is being watched.
Oh yeah.
And I found out we were being watched in Canada and Iraq. And I was like, okay, so we're in the U.S., we're in Canada and Iraq. like what? Like how? So, in a weird way, the internet and I guess smartphones, how they connect us to the internet, often it kind of makes the world a little bit smaller and makes us a little more connected.
Yeah.
And like again, we're talking computers in our pockets, so whatever you're connected to, you're carrying it around with you, and in an instant, you reach in your pocket, pull it out, and boom, you got the news, you got sports, you got, information like Google, you got YouTube, you got TikTok, you got Facebook, you got all these things, and you got the world right there in your pocket, right, like at your fingertips, this smartphone. So I think that's another really cool part. Now, I want to hear what you think is the bad part, the bad side of it, of having smartphones. Because I got something for you.
Got something for me?
Yeah. You want to think about it?
I'm trying to think, like, there's, I guess, sort of people using what you share against you.
Oh, yeah.
Or flipping the information that you're providing, or, maybe just stuff that's not positive. Some people are, taking, I guess like the identity theft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Someone can just hack your shit, and or people can take your accounts and change it up to where it looks like they're posing as you and they're not you.
Yeah.
I mean, even like we never talked about this, but because I have a lot of thoughts on it. But the catfish, just sort of being vulnerable on the internet and someone taking advantage of you, or I don't know. Just I guess the trust in who you're talking with versus whatever is going down.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like, because I feel guilty of this too, where it's like I have to go look at it. I have to see what's there sometimes, and maybe that's, I guess maybe I kind of call myself out and say like I don't maybe need to go to it as much as I go to it, but it just seems like if there's a moment where maybe something's changed, maybe there's I don't know why I need to go to it so much, but it just seems like at times I'm trained to go see what's updated.
Yeah.
Refresh my email. Maybe I had an email. I don't know, just all these things that I'm checking or trying to see what I'm notified. And then there's so many different ways to get notified on things.
Yeah.
To where your phone buzzes for all these different reasons. And yeah, I guess the attachment to it can be an issue where we almost can't function without it, you know?
Yeah.
Or we're depending on it to be, you know, guiding us.
Yeah.
But there's a thin line, because like that, what you're saying, like, you can look up something and learn how to fix it, or, I mean, even with YouTube, like, I'm thinking that, like, we didn't have YouTube back in the guitar days. Like, we had to print tabs or wait for the Guitar Max and see what songs they put in there. So, like, YouTube, they'll have people show you how to play this stuff, you know? So, I mean, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
For all that. For people to make that kind of stuff, like, there's this guy that does nothing but Pearl Jam covers. Like, not covers, but, like, he shows you how to play the songs. And then he even, like, throws in, like, little, like, side notes on, like, how they play it live, or, like, maybe they'll do a little different rendition. Like, he breaks it down, like, the solos. And it's just awesome that YouTube is a place where people can do stuff like that. Like me, I'm all about Pearl Jam, so I'm eating all that stuff up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's this area where it's like, it's awesome, it's doing cool stuff, it's helping, it's keeping people productive, it's beneficial, I guess, but then so easily it can get, I don't know, dangerous, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, so
what about you?
Like you said about the people using stuff against you, I'm very paranoid about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think quite a few people have addressed it, saying, you know, like, it's kind of egocentric to think that the big wide government's focusing in on what you personally are looking at, you know. And I'm sure there's this whole movement of people that go, oh, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so, you know, what do I have to hide? But I'm kind of more of the group of, like, hey, it's my privacy, it's my life, like, it should be mine. And mine's alone to dole out as I decide. And I think it was kind of the beginning of a new era when somebody, I don't know who it was. It might have been Facebook. It might have been Yahoo. But somebody realized that our information was valuable. You know, your demographics, your background, what you're into, what you don't like, your opinion, your habits. To be able to sell that to a third party, it became valuable. It's our information. It's our personal information. And with or without our permission, and maybe we give it unwillingly or maybe unknowingly, when you skip through the agreement and you just go straight to yes because you definitely want to use their product.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're giving them permission to sell your information. That's like your valuable information and it's being sold. And just on the same hand where I said, oh, it makes the world smaller, it makes it so you can't get away either. And like, I think it's China where they're doing like facial recognition, like really hardcore tracking people.
Mm-hmm.
Like cameras everywhere, and they're like facial recognition, and they're like cracking down and using it to, like I've been hearing, I was just listening to this whole thing about organ. I think Derek sent it to me, and it was like organ transplant surgeries being used on like a black market organ transplants, and it was being used on unwilling participants. So like prisoners and prisoners of war and religious people who are being persecuted for their religious practices. And basically the government was finding people who practice a certain kind of spirituality or a religion, and they were imprisoning them, and then they were, willingly killing people for their organs because there's a black market value on all these different organs. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably millions. Hundreds of thousands for a cornea and, $50,000 for a bit of skin and, organs. And
damn.
What they were doing was they created like their own Gestapo, where these like military police were going around and capturing people and putting them in internment camps. And they were, they could easily use technology like that. And like, call me paranoid, but that it's kind of like the whole data mining thing. Once one group figured it out and everybody else started realizing the value of it, then everybody started doing it. I don't know if you know, but like every bit of information you get in your emails is being copied. So everything you send, everything you receive, they're copying it and storing it in case they ever need to use it against you, ever need to use it to find you, and it's all quote unquote legal. And call me paranoid, but I try to keep my location finder on my phone off as often as possible. And I'm not even running from anybody. But it's like it bothers me that I could be located like that so easily.
Mm.
Maybe that's just pure paranoia, maybe not, I don't know.
Mm.
But like that's kind of this whole smartphone era, like, you know how there's this whole movement of unplugging? Turn the cell phone off and go have some fun in nature. Like, it's kind of a new movement, I guess.
Disconnect,
or maybe we're coming back to the old ways where, people are so fed up with being so connected. They're like, oh, well, damn it, we gotta get back in touch with nature. We gotta go old school and unplug.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent many a nights awake, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I am just mindlessly going, scrolling up, sliding up, seeing what the next video is, just hoping something entertaining will pop up, and 9 times out of 10 it's garbage, but I'm just sitting there, minute after minute, hour after hour. I probably laid down at midnight and I'm still up at 3 o'clock in the morning just scrolling.
Yeah.
So like this technology, it's, it used to be that maybe you're so stressed out and you lay in bed and you're awake because your mind's still going. Now it's like your mind and your wrist and your elbow and your eyes are still going full bore, sliding up on the screen. you know, and that's me. I'm an adult, I guess. And then I think about my son, and he'll be on YouTube, on the TV, he'll be on the Kindle, just going back and forth between the two things until the minute he passes out. You know, and it's like, man, like, that's him at age almost 5. What the hell? What the hell are these kids of his generation, or maybe the ones after him? Maybe we'll be born when he has kids with an implant, and we'll be paying a subscription to use our brains on the higher level. You know, we got to pay subscriptions to be 5G in your brain. You know? Like right now, I worry that their attention span is kind of getting torn away and eroded by the fast imagery and switchback of the kind of YouTube videos he's watching. And I see it physically. It's turning into his physical thing. He's like jumping out. I mean, kids jump around and they're all over the place, but like he's jumping around from his Kindle to the TV to whatever I'm doing to outside, and he's just like, there's no real sit down for him. And, you know, I wonder how detrimental it is for him to be so connected. You know, I got to think to myself, we need to have disconnect times where we go out and turn them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about is a balance of, because I think when people, they say they got to disconnect, I think it's like, I guess when you can get so caught up in it to where you're you know, you can't put it down, or I don't know, I think like that too, where, I mean, I guess maybe we got a better hold on it. I don't know about that, but it's just, we're seeing it, maybe because it's so new, and we're recognizing that it can be an issue, and it can be something that you gotta find, like almost a balance to, because it's just like with the avatar, or the what is the Facebook thing? The Meta? Or it's like, it just seems like so easily your identity can be in the app, or I don't want to say the internet, but it's just like the internet's stealing all these forms of ways to identify ourselves. And I think what I'm concerned about is us getting more caught up in identifying ourselves on the internet platforms versus actually having some self-reflective. I don't know. It's weird because it's like I know the internet's awesome, but it's like, you still know who you are when the internet's off. And I think that's where it can be an issue, because sometimes all kids knows what they're doing online, you know. And even now with school, you know, either you're online, you need your password, your ID, and there's all these different.
Does it make them better?
What, having internet, or having? What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, brother.
No, I'm just saying, like, the fact that, well, not the fact, it's just, I guess just how kids are having lives on the internet and having lives and that kind of interaction to where that's the only way to interact.
Do you have Prime?
No. I don't have Prime.
But somebody in your household does?
I think so. I don't watch Prime.
Well, they have a show called Upload. I think it's either Upload or Uploaded. I think it's Upload.
Uh-huh.
And the whole concept is it's in the future, not far away, and it's basically people are being uploaded when they die to a self-made heaven. Or companies like Starbucks and Office Max and whoever else. The companies have joined up together and they now own a human-produced heaven. So people are no longer dying; they are being uploaded. So you get in a car wreck, they take you in, they copy your personality, and they're uploading you into this programmed heaven. And it's really freaky. If you go check it out and watch it, I really recommend it. Upload on Prime, Amazon Prime. I think Amazon's one of the big companies too, but the concept they really kind of pushed on it was the classism. Mm-hmm. So you get the really nice heaven if you're rich or well off to do. And I think they even had like an example of a veteran where he gets to go to the good heaven, but he has a minimum that he gets a month, or a maximum, that's free because he served. And then there was this whole lower class where, like in the upper class, they got all the foods you could ever want. They give you whatever you want. You can change the weather. You can go outside, and it's bright and beautiful. You look out your window. It's beautiful. It's heaven. It's this man-made heaven. And then there's these people who are living there for free, and all they get is what they call them the 2 gigs. So they have 2 gigs of information a month. And so they're using theirs up on, if you want to see outside this window, you got to pay for it with your data. And so some of them they can't even look outside. They're just staring at a blank window. And then their cafeteria, which, in the better heaven, there's, an abundance of food. And then in theirs, they're like the testing ground for all the new crappy foods that are coming out of Lean Cuisine. It's like they're the test ground for that stuff. And that's all they get. That's their free food. So it's all microwave dishes. And so the reason I brought that up is it's like you're talking about Meta. I think right now Meta is useless. It's pointless. Nobody can really get into it. What they've done is they've set themselves up to be part of what's to come. And we're talking just like Elon Musk is doing the personal scan of the brain, and they're trying to make a copy of somebody into a computer. I think that's what Meta is setting themselves up to be. Right now, I think it's kind of pointless. There's not a lot of people who are able to use it, and it's kind of really the starting ground for this. But what they're doing is setting themselves up to be. They're creating their own world. They're producing something that people will eventually have to take part in. And I think it has something to do with kind of this whole idea of upload. It's along those lines. And like I said about us being cyborgs and needing our phone, right now you go, I want to go out, I want some food. boom, you pick up your phone and you look up the nearest food place. You think, oh, I'm feeling horny. Boom, you pull up some porno. You know, it's like, oh, I wanna catch the bus to the next spot. You pick up your phone. There's no longer like, you don't got to stand up and go to a computer and look at something. You don't have to get up and catch the next bus or just stand out there until you see the bus. You now know when it's coming. You get what you want immediately and you pick up your phone. So it's like this instant, I don't want to say gratification, but like it's instant data, it's instant information. And it works exactly the way our brain does, but only it involves this extra step of moving your arm and lifting something up and then looking at something and typing to get this data. And I think what Meta is setting up to be is a house or a home for people who are uploaded, people who are copied and made digital. And they're starting it now. They're at the ground floor because they see down the road what's coming. They're probably even a part of it, like developing it. What did I bring that up for, though? Like,
what? Maybe, I think for me, the idea of having to constantly be in that, the virtual or whatever, versus face to face. You're saying camping.
Yeah.
Like we can come to a point where we're camping virtually.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
I think that's kind of maybe not what I'm signing up for, but
yeah. But again, like I said, the agreement, the legal forms that we agree to, you kind of are, but don't know it. Like, and again, I bring it up all the time, the frog in the pot, the boiling water. We're slowly but surely headed that direction. I wanted to say earlier that me and you and, probably a lot of the people listening there, we're kind of the last generation that will remember a time without the internet. Without smartphones.
Yeah.
Like, I really think it's our duty to make that extra time. Like, I even struggle with it. Like, sometimes I don't want to do shit. So I'm sitting there on my phone, and my son's in the room watching his shows, and there's this personal disconnect, our physical beings, if you will, of making contact, and like every now and then I'll check on him or he'll come out and check on me, and we'll hug or we'll talk to each other. But really, if you think about it, there's a disconnect that's going on, and it's a regular part of his life and my life where we're doing our own thing digitally.
Yeah.
And it's kind of freaky. And I got to remind myself sometimes, all right, we need to turn this crap off and get outside. We need sunlight, and we need fresh air, and we need physical interactions with the world. I kind of think about WALL-E too. All those people that are up in space and they're just getting all fat and they're glued to their screens. They don't see the world that's going on around them. They're just manipulating this computer, and that's enough for them. And they get their food right there out of their chair. They're losing their bone mass because they no longer walk. Like, it was a comedy on this damn show, but that's where we're headed. And it freaks me out. And, like, smartphones are a part of it. And really, when I get up to go, sometimes more important than my own identity, like keeping an ID on me, is having my smartphone.
Yeah.
Like, I better have that versus, having my wallet with my debit card and stuff. Sometimes I'll get up and I'm looking for my phone first. You know, it's a part of us. And I think a lot of us would admit that leaving home without your cell phone is a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think just knowing that and thinking that is crazy. But it's a reality.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not like they'll say, oh, no, I'll leave my cell phone today. I won't take that. It's like, oh, you need it. Something can happen. Or I guess there's this, maybe the practical things, why you need it and why it's important, but then there's this other list of things it does that, you know, it plays games, you know, it's a fun thing to do when I'm, you know, killing time, you know, it's just, it just seems like it became less and less about practical things, and now it's just kind of this enjoyment device that. But then I guess am I just discounting all the times where I did Google something or I did double check something someone said, or you know. There's a lot of positives that the smartphone does that, you know, that kind of changed the game. You know, I forgot about the encyclopedias.
Yeah.
I mean, that was legit, like, because I remember now going back, like, I think it was in 5th grade or 4th grade when I was going to school in Tucson, and, like, they always did this project where you had to pick your state.
Yeah.
And you kind of had to, like, look up information on that state and, you know, make a project or a poster with sharing it. But, you know, we legit had to go in the library and find that stuff out about.
In a book.
In the book or an encyclopedia. But, you know, now that same project sounds like, I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy how at that time I thought the project was pretty tough, but now if I had a smartphone, it would have been. I don't know how it would have affected me. Maybe that's what we're really talking about. But
well, I think one interesting thing is like say you got that encyclopedia, but what if it was an old encyclopedia? Like then, like the information you're getting out of it isn't updated. It was printed and boom, that's it. It doesn't change. You know, and now, like, maybe the positive of having the internet is like, oh, it's constantly updated. But now there's a new problem. It's like there's so much data out there, you got to be sure you're even looking at the correct data, because anybody and everybody can do a Wikipedia page of their own and just edit it any way they freaking want.
Yeah.
So there's gives and takes, and it creates new problems. Like, I would say, devil's advocate, the internet's better than the information in a book because of that. That book will never be updated. And when it is, the previous book is all of a sudden obsolete, but it's still taking up space. It still took those, you know, however many trees it took to create it. Or this entire line of these books. Like, what kind of drove me crazy about college was, like, every year you had to get a new book.
Yeah, you get the updated version.
Yeah, or, like, say you went to college, you took this class, you didn't do too well, and then you go back again way later. You can't use the same book. You got to use the new book that the college just bought into.
Mm-hmm.
Even though math hasn't really changed. I mean, they go, oh, the new math. Not really. Math is still math. Like, it's... I don't know. It's great in so many ways, but it also has all its own new problems. And I think that's the way it's going to be. The more advanced we become, we're just going to have new problems. It's going to solve a bunch of problems and then create new ones. And I think that's probably going to be the most interesting thing to pay attention to as we transition to whatever's next.
Yeah.
And I think, thinking about those encyclopedias, man, or how difficult those projects were with a book, or say somebody checked that book out, then you have to wait for it. And then, you're screwed. If it's due tomorrow, you waited too long and now you show up and the book's not even there. It's like, oh, crap. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Like another thing I was going to bring up was a little bit of jealousy that I have for my son in a car, like on a long road trip. Like when he gets bored, he's like, oh, where's my Kindle? I hand it to him. Now he has videos and games that he can play. And we don't have it, but some people even have internet in their cars. So, like, I'm jealous about that. I'm still even jealous about the damn DVD player in the seat, and that's kind of old technology now. But even that's newer than what I remember as a kid. Like, I'm jealous of that. It's like, you little shits. I had to play look out the window games. Like little road bingo.
Yeah.
I remember. I had to listen to whatever my parents were listening to. So, of course my taste is shaped around that now, what my parents listened to. And then at the same time, my poor ass, I remember looking out a window and just seeing cars that I would want in the future and just yelling out, radical, radical, badical. Like I'd see like a fast car, like a Mustang, Corvette, something crazy that I would want, I'm going to have that car when I grow up. That was my pastime. I'm looking out the window, poor as fuck, like I might never own that car, but I'm like, oh, that's my future car right there. And now my son, he gets bored, and I just hand him a device, and he's golden.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of that. Like, that tells you how old as fuck I am, but it's like, damn, like,
yeah.
Even with the old technology of a DVD player in the back of the seat, I'm still like blown away. Like, damn it, lucky little shit. It's like I didn't have that.
Yeah, watching cartoons in the back.
Yeah, your favorite movie. And what's crazy for me is like my son's a whole other generation removed past that he doesn't even have the attention span to enjoy that, like one movie. You put a good children's movie on and he can't even watch it, because even that's not entertaining enough for him. He's like, oh, Dad, change it, or give me my Kindle. Like he like I said, the kind of stuff he watches is like, even watching a good cartoon is not good enough for him. And he's freaking 5. Like, I'll be setting up, like, oh, like my mom, she's several generations even ahead of me. And she's like, oh, let's buy a movie for the kids and let them watch it. And I'm sitting there shaking my head like, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do what it used to do for us. She could put on a movie for us and we'd be glued there, paying attention to the plot points, singing along, watching what's happening in the movie. And my son, and his generation, we put the same thing on, and he's like, change it, Dad, change it. Like, where's the remote? I want to change this. It's like, no, it's a freaking movie. We spent money for you guys to be entertained. And he is completely, 2-3 minutes in, he's just like, change it.
Oh, man.
And that part of me goes, okay, that's interesting and impressive. The other part of me cringes that he is incapable of enjoying a show like that. Like, I want to show him all the movies that I grew up on, and if I try to show them to him, he'll be, most of the time, incapable of watching it. And I try to tell myself, all right, at some point when he gets older, because obviously there's this disconnect between him being a baby and where he is now, I try to tell myself maybe in a couple of years he'll have the attention span to watch these movies, but I don't know. And the thing is, it's like he's so exposed to technology, you know, there's this weird learning curve that's so much sharper and taller and higher than what we had.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that too, where the savviness of, like you say, your boy, can work a tablet, and he was only just like, not even that old.
Yeah.
Now, it's the maybe they do have a leg up on us now. The savviness of using the computer, or already learning how to work when they do have a. But I mean, like I always think back at just how at one point it was like computer behind a giant, massive computer that's like filling up the whole room, and you probably shouldn't touch it because you'll break it.
If you breathe on it, it blows up. Yeah.
To where there's small, iPhone or whatever, Galaxy, some type of cell phone where it's like, it's a good size, it's not too big, and has all these capabilities, and it has all these different services, and I mean, I was like, I flip-flop of thinking, oh yeah, we're in the new age and we're figuring it out, but then it's like, how is this not gonna blow up in my face?
Yeah.
Like, don't touch it, leave it alone, versus like, everything's touch screen, have at it.
Yeah.
So I guess like trying to balance the attitude of computers and technology, where it's like, you're never gonna get to work one till now they're everywhere and you need to figure it out.
I was just thinking the other day about my son, like, damn, I need to play ball with him more, like catch. And I was thinking so that when he goes to school, he doesn't, the other kids don't make fun of him. And I just now thought about that, like, fuck, like, what if they're more likely to make fun of him if he doesn't know how to play games on a Kindle or something? Like, what if that's the benchmark? Like, what am I focused on? Like, I want him to know how to play catch. Like, he can, but like, he doesn't. I think me and him start butting heads to the point where we're like, all right, fine, we're not playing anymore. That happens so often. And, like, fuck, I'm teaching him this reaction. So he's probably going to be terrible on the playground, But the thing is, I'm wondering now, like, should I be more focused on his ability to play games and be computer savvy than being physically fit and capable? Like, it must be a balancing act. Like, they're still playing ball at recess, right? Like,
I hope so.
Yeah, like, I fucking hope. You know, the thing about them having a leg up on us is that's only if they're guaranteed to have computers. You know, I keep going back to the doomsday scenario, and really, there's a bunch of people out there going, that'll never happen. You doomsday preppers are crazy, right? But shit happens all the time. You know?
Yeah.
Like, if we go to war and a nuke goes off, there's an EMP pulse that goes out, an electromagnetic pulse, and it fries, like, all the little computer chips that run cars, computers, internet, whatever. Like, it's all going to go down. Now, even if it's not a nuke that causes it, we could have a solar flare. The sun that we're so dependent on and so used to having out there, it could have an irregular eruption on its surface that could knock out all our technology. Now, how much of a leg up will our kids have if it's all gone? Suddenly that library is going to look pretty damn good. I'm even kind of curious if the knowledge will be sought out versus the guns and the weapons. I'm probably going way off subject here, but I'm saying, like, yes, they have a leg up, but it's with this additional thing that does all the thinking for them.
Ooh.
That does all their entertaining for them. It's this, like, crutch, almost. And if they were to ever go out, it's like kicking somebody's crutch out from under them. They're going to fall down. And I would hope that my son has enough of these other skills or likes or whatever interests that he could carry on. He could get back up and carry on. So, you know, it's this balancing act. And I got to think about that. And this whole conversation has brought that up.
Was it, I mean, I don't know if this is off topic, but it's like, there was a point where, well, I guess it's like what we're saying, there's, the smartphone gives you access to this knowledge, but it also allows you to not need to rely on remembering the knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, I just think of, and we do this a lot when we're watching movies, and you know, maybe there's an actress or actor, like, hey, what is this? Look at that. What else did they play on?
Yeah.
Or, like, like, look up what else they've been on. I've seen it somewhere else, and then we pull it up. Oh, they were in this. They were in this, and yeah, we figured it out. We got the info. It was.
How satisfying is that?
I guess pretty cool. I mean, but like,
it's so instant.
It's it really isn't, I guess, important information that we needed. I mean, we got it. We were curious and we were looking up and like we figured it out. But just knowing it have any more value.
So it's a curiosity tool. It satisfies your curiosity. But how important is that?
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess, vary at that point, you know? What else?
Yeah. I mean, just how we're not retaining information, we're just kind of repeating it. And by not really retaining it and just kind of doing it out of curiosity versus like, oh, I need to go on the internet because I need to learn about this because I'm going to need it for this and this and this. We're just kind of just willy-nilly. Let me learn that. Let me learn this. Let me learn that. And then we come to this worst-case scenario where we don't have the internet and we don't have any of that access. And it's like, well, what information did you get? You're on the internet, and you could have learned all that stuff, but it's like that's not really where our mindset is at. It's just sort of like we want to go and I mean I do this too, but like we were taking pictures of our food. I mean, I know there's reasons why behind those, and everybody does it for different reasons, but, like, that's what we're doing with our smartphones. It's not like
documenting our gestation.
I mean, some of us are. I mean, some of us are going to college on their cell phone. I mean, I know there are programs where they could access, their college assignments on their smartphone. That's awesome. I mean, but
That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It's good. But it's just, we all have that ability to go on, I guess what we're saying, like the library of the world, and get information to help us. But it almost seems like at a small level because maybe because we think that the internet is never going to go, or we're not thinking in that mindset of it going. But to propose that idea is just kind of like, whoa, I better go get this info from the internet now, or I don't know. It just almost like we're taking advantage of its availability. If it is this wonderful thing that has all the info, but is it really that cool? Because back in the day, we had to work a little harder to get it.
Well, what's crazy is it's a freaking gift of knowledge. It's like the key to everything. And instead we're using it to share photos of our food. I like what you're saying about memory, because like we say it all the time, like, oh, I haven't retained everything from school. Like, I think a lot of the times I kept what seemed important to me or what made me feel interested. But like we say that all the time, oh, like stuff gets deleted to make space for new stuff. If we're talking about our brains like computers. And then you think about a smartphone, like you get like a 120 gig memory chip, then suddenly you can save. Well, like the other day, it wasn't the other day, it was probably a couple months ago, I said, oh, if my phone breaks, I'm going to lose all these great pictures, so I better download them. And I went to go download them, and I had something like 2,200 photos that went back all the way to maybe even before my son was even born. And I was like, holy shit, like, I can't even remember all of these images, but my phone has them. So, like, depending on how much I spent on that card, kind of decides how much I can retain. Like, I cannot imagine the world that's going to come after this when these implants start working the way we want them to. Like if a brain implant can be used as easily or faster than our use of a cell phone, a smartphone, the freaking cell phone could become obsolete. I mean, sure, there'll be resistance, like, oh, it creates brain tumors because you're getting a signal wired straight to your brain. You know, there's going to be plenty of health stuff. But people are going to do it. People are going to go for it. First it'll be like nerds, you know, or maybe the super rich. And then once some people have it and some people don't, then it'll be like, oh, I gotta have it, so I have it too. And at some point, we will just transition. And there's this other show on Amazon that I haven't watched yet, but it's called like, the fuck is it called? I think it's called Update or something like that. Connection, whatever it is. Well, what it is I think it's like a utopian or dystopian society where people are getting updated. So society has these chips, and people are being updated, or they're downloading every night. And then something with that connection goes wrong. And that's all I can remember from the synopsis of it. But it's like, what happens then? Like, will governments just be able to just turn us off if we're misbehaving? Will we, become as dumb as, I guess, the dumbest people? And it'll be because we're disconnected. Like say my kid's kid are, generations from now from us, all they know, they've never even held a book, but they've had the internet. Say they're way smarter than us, but then they piss somebody off, break a rule, break a law, and their connection, their data gets restricted or shut off.
Yeah.
Everybody's got the chip, but then suddenly they're shut off. They're disconnected from the world, from their connection, from information as a punishment. Like, imagine that. Like, I think, again, the frog in the pot, I think we should really be careful of how quickly we welcome advancement in technology. I think cell phones or smartphones are going to be one of the last things we remember, just as we remember having encyclopedias in the house. It's going to be like, oh, we're going to be old as fuck. We'll be like, oh, I remember when everybody carried their computers in their hands, in their pockets. Society was better back then. You used to buy
times.
You used to buy gas for $5. All of a sudden these super high prices that we can barely afford now will be the dream time. Like, damn, I wish we still paid $5 for gas. Like, I'll go old school on us right now. I remember 99 cents a gallon. I remember when somebody would say, hey, I'll give you $20 to take me to Tucson, and you're like, fuck yeah, get in, let's go. Now if somebody offers you that, you're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, we're not going. That's not going to pay for gas one way. And that's us right now. Like, really, if you think about it, like, me, you, our generation, there is a lot of weird, or it's considered weird now that we still remember as like, oh, that was my life.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine anything beyond the smartphone. Like, the smartphone's the huge thing right now. They're still coming out with new ones. And if you think about, like, our video games, They come out with a new one every couple of years, and then the last one, or maybe 2 systems ago, is obsolete. So a lot less people have a PlayStation 1. A lot less people have the original Xbox. At some point, these super powerful smartphones that we have are going to become old school, obsolete pieces of crap. And what's crazy, too, is we might not even live long enough to see that. Or we might, and we'll just be the old geriatric old guys that remember a better time when everybody didn't have brain cancer from their implants. Or something, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, there's maybe like this idea of, you know, being independent and, you know, kind of being on your own and like that, going after the knowledge versus the knowledge at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And I think
the journey.
I don't know, it just seems like we're losing that by putting all of our attention in the phone. But maybe that's a good thing, you know, where the world is headed, you know, that kids need to be up to date with what's current. But I mean, even, you know, and another thing I was, you know, thankful for growing up was, you know, Dr. Whitty. You know, after the end of the session or the end of the program, we had to do like a presentation.
Yeah.
And that really helped me as far as like PowerPoint.
Yeah. And
knowing PowerPoint and having to make one and present it.
Yeah.
You know, it was sort of like later on it became, I saw it come up where you had to do a PowerPoint. You know, that was your way of doing your assignments. And so like, I was always thankful for Dr. Whitty kind of giving us that
life skill.
Yeah, that life skill, and then actually making us use it to where whenever it came up later on, it was like it was easy.
Yeah.
But you know, when I graduated college and kind of like the end of my college years, there was this new presentation program called Prezi, and it was like PowerPoint, but just more cooler. It was like updated, and I just remember being like, "Oh damn, how I can't even do that." And it wasn't really the truth. It was like I just have to put your time and figure out the program. But, is PowerPoint still important to know in the digital age? But like during the time I was living in now, I haven't made a PowerPoint in a while, but just the fact that I knew how to do it and it helped me later on, it was an important tool to have and to know.
Yeah.
Going forward, I mean, I'm pretty sure it is, but I don't know. I guess I'm fearful of all the knowledge that we need to know is in the computer, and we gotta just stay in there.
It's in the computer. Yeah. I think you were at the cusp of it changing. So you have the basic knowledge that these later programs were built on. Imagine somebody before us. Like I think PowerPoint was even before us. You know, so there are people ahead of us that got the same knowledge that you do, and maybe they didn't go beyond that, but now you know enough that you can. How, and now, like, I kind of get the impression that PowerPoint's just outdated now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the way to present a thing anymore. It's not the way to do it now.
Well, there's an episode of The Office where they say it's just a peacock, you know, it's just flash, no meat. But like, but that's weird how it kind of like it was up and then it went down. Like how there's other ways of presenting your stuff. Or
I remember the first time I did one, I had like sound effects and all these like transition animations between pages.
Yeah.
You know, there's music, all this like little crap, and it made like this huge data file. And I remember like after I did my presentation, the doctors I was working with, they were like, hey, maybe do less of that next time. Like, maybe cut out some of that noise, because like my presentation, I think it was supposed to be less than 10 minutes, something like that, like in the beginning, and it went on forever because I was clicking all the transitions. Like every time you clicked, it ran like, you know, there's all these sounds and shit, and this huge data file. And then I had to learn that the hard way. They told me, like, hey, you know, maybe you should do a lot less of that crap and just stick to the points. And I had to learn that, you know, and then every presentation after that, I did less and less until there were no more animations except for maybe one point, then another point, then another point. You know, like, I was thinking that I got the skill of public speaking from the same thing. And anytime I used it after that, I felt a little more comfortable. I don't think the fear or, like, rush ever goes away, like the adrenaline dump. But being taught a skill like that kind of stays with you. I was also thinking of doing a resume or filling out an application. At this point, I've done it so many times that to go at it again, it's like, another one of these, but I know what I'm doing, and I just whip it out, you know? And I remember working with my nephew on his, and he had like a one-pager that had like one point and maybe 2 paragraphs. It was very small, and it took him forever to do it. And I was thinking, like, damn, like, I've come a long way, and it took a lot of skills, a lot of, you know, mistakes, a lot of practice. And I also thought, like, when I started this last resume, I just went to Google Docs and pulled out a template. So like the margins and the headlines and all that, they were already written for me, and then I just added all my information to it. So it was like light years ahead of what I remember beginning at.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're headed with everything. It blows my mind to even think about where we're going and how fast it's going to come. Like,
well, I think that's what we're seeing slowly with all this, like, Uber Eats and all these services where someone's doing the legwork.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see that now with Uber Eats. Now it's like they're doing groceries, and I mean they've always been doing. I think it's Amazon that does groceries at Rise or one of the stores. But like that concept of going to a grocery store is even kind of outdated. Not outdated, but like, it might become outdated. We're not even going to the grocery store. We're ordering it online and someone's dropping it off.
Yeah.
Maybe not here in the res. I don't know. It's the same.
What's jacked is by the time it gets on the res, they'll be doing something totally different up here. It's gonna happen so fast, and we'll still be kind of behind down there. I think it's crazy that pre-COVID, like COVID's been going on for, let's say, 3 years now, going on 4.
Yeah, probably
about
2019.
In that, and I'm calling it short. It's years, but I'm calling it short because in that short amount of time, grocery delivery was kind of, let's say, a new thing, and there was like maybe one delivery service. It was like Uber Eats is kind of fairly new. Like Uber was just a taxi service, and then there was Postmates, DoorDash, all these other things, and it became necessary for people to stay at home and get their food delivered. So then, now I'm thinking even if, and it's a huge if we get past the pandemic, which they're saying, we are now, but I'm not going to be part of the group that did all the videos of throwing their masks off and then boom, we all got hit again. But it's like I think all these services, all these places who were never required to deliver ever, they just weren't that business. Because of this little short experience, from now on, it's just going to be expected. And if they don't deliver, it's going to be like, what the hell? Like, get with the program, guys. Why you have to deliver if you're going to keep making money in this news world order that basically was dependent on a pandemic. It was created or forced on them, on small business, to change in order for their business to continue to grow or at least stay alive during the pandemic.
So I guess maybe emphasizing like how much kids do spend on the tablet. Get off of that right now.
Jesus.
But is it our responsibility to tell somebody not how to live, but I guess not manage their time, but maybe appreciate another kind of way of living? Because it seems like kids are just like, I don't want to say they're entitled, but it's like the internet is just, it's not like limited to certain whoever. It's just kind of like there. And like you said, like we were from a time where it wasn't always there. It wasn't always as powerful.
Yeah.
So now, for someone just to be in this powerful place and to have the devices and the tools to, operate the device, like, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, and just like, they're just good at computers and we're not.
Well, I think because we're kind of right in the middle of the cusp, we're gonna do okay for a while. You know, like at some point, like I'm already well on my way to being 40. You know, and at some point I'll be the old guy. I guess I already am. I don't know. I don't feel like the old guy, but I'm already on my way. And there's going to come a time where I'm going to have to hand my shit over to my son and say, hey, fix this thing. Fix this thing. Hey, I don't have a volume button. What's wrong with my volume? You know, it's like, it's just right here. I don't know why you don't get this. And we're like, just fix it. Fix this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not even going to see it coming. It's just going to happen. My nephew came over to me the other day. I was sitting with them at their house, and he said, hey, Uncle, there's this new thing they're developing. It's a new, I think he called it a cell phone, but he was like, it's a giant screen. It's like 3 feet wide, and it wraps around your face and it basically takes over your entire line of sight. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how? I was looking at my cell phone, I was thinking about that, and I was like, how the hell is that practical? How the hell is that desirable versus a cell phone? And then I realized it's probably a freaking video game. You know, fully immersive. Like, I remember there was this arcade game that got brought to Peter Piper, and it was like you'd stick your head in this helmet, and then you could look around 360 and shoot. Like it was like a tower defense.
Yeah.
You had to shoot all these dudes on the beach, and they just kept coming, and you had to keep walking in a circle, or you had to spin, and you could see all around you in this virtual world. And now we have, you know, virtual reality is nothing new, but it's highly developed now versus what we used to see. And he was describing this new thing, and I was like, how the hell is that practical? But then I thought, how freaking awesome would it be to play like a scary zombie game and be surrounded by zombies in real life? Like, wow. You know, it's here, it's coming, it's in our world, and he's gonna have to show me how to use it. You know?
Yeah.
Or I gotta buy one myself and fuck around with it. But this is kind of a hard reality, and I think it's gonna happen a lot faster than we really expect.
Did you ever do the chatting? Did you ever do chat rooms?
Dude, when it first came out, when it was first a thing, I couldn't stay away. When I first started chatting, I was all over that shit, dude. I was all over it, just trying to jump in, like, hey, hi, how you doing? Hey, and everybody's throwing in, hey, hi's, how you doing? I was always trying to get some girl to talk to me, you know. And who knows if they were even a girl? I didn't even know about catfishing, you know. But it was like, oh, this person looks like she's got a sexy name. I'm gonna hit her up. I'm gonna direct chat you. I think that was even pre MySpace, pre Facebook. Chat rooms.
You're right.
Jesus.
No, because it wasn't.
Now I feel old.
It wasn't so much about the image. It was more the chat.
Yeah, you had to talk to somebody.
The response, and I mean that's almost like a pre.
Jesus, that's early internet right there.
Yeah, it was early internet.
That's all I would do on the internet at one point.
Oh yeah, that was one of the first.
That's all I had it for.
Hopping.
Yeah. That might have been dial-up time too.
Well, do you remember what you like? What was that? people write, like when they're introducing themselves or they're asking a question about the person who they're chatting with.
Jesus. I used to just say hello to the room, you know, or I'd try to jump on until somebody noticed I was new to the room. Jesus.
But it was like, even now too, because like I'm thinking of hashtags. Like we didn't have hashtags or anything.
Damn.
But like there are those acronyms or those short little.
Oh my God! Yeah.
You know, tell me this really quick or.
Shit, I don't think LOL was even a thing at that point. But there was shit like that.
Yeah.
Talk to you later. There was definitely a talk to you later. TTY.
I would like to learn the origin of LOL. I've never been an LOL guy.
I'm still a ha 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 ha.
That's more significant than LOL.
Yeah, because sometimes I might type it for a long time. Jesus.
See, I get the idea that you're really laughing, but like when I see LOL, I'm like, are you really laughing out loud? Like, are you really like, ha 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 ha? Like, is the laugh that loud to where?
Sometimes I go capital letters, bro. That's where I'm at. Jesus. I'm just thinking about the fact that we're up to 5G right now, 5 gigabytes per second, I think it is. And when I started using the internet, and really that's all I had the internet for at that point was to chat. So I was obviously an early teenager trying to get some, or I didn't even know what some was, but I knew I wanted it, and women had it.
Shot in the dark, yeah.
Yeah, so I was chatting, shooting in the dark in all directions, trying to get anybody to notice me. And at that time, I think my internet connection was like 256 kilobytes. So not even a megabyte.
Dang.
It was a quarter megabyte. And that was how fast my internet was. You remember he was signing on to the chat room, and it was loading and loading and loading, and it's like, well, this is my life now. Like, I didn't even mind. And it took like 5-10 minutes to get on.
I was smiling as it was loading.
So I was sitting there excited.
That was exciting. That was the part of the internet. That was like, it's coming, it's loading.
Oh yeah, I can see the bar. It's filling up. Eventually.
Flash forward to now, we're bitching because my service is bad here.
Oh, shit's so fucking slow. It's like 33 megabytes a second. Fuck, it's so slow.
It's like the connectivity is not good in this area, or
my stupid phone. I've only got one bar here. Like, fuck.
Or like the website is has too much going on.
Jesus.
and your phone is not keeping up with what the internet requires to run that website, so you're shit out of luck.
You're just sitting there waiting like a jackass. Wow.
But I mean, I guess now we're spoiled to where we can complain about
spoiled little bitches. Wow.
How fast it is. Yeah.
Well, we're nearing the end here. It's like an hour and 49 minutes. Can you, like, after everything we've mentioned here, can you conclusively say one or the other?
Is
it good? Is it bad? Are you hopeful?
I am hopeful that I'm hopeful that not just kids, but hopeful that everybody still has an identity when the phone goes off. Or when it's...
Jesus.
You gotta turn it down. You gotta turn it off. Or, for whatever reason, you don't have access to it. You still kind of know generally what you're trying to do or trying to accomplish, because there's a lot of fun things about it, but I think the experience of the world is not always needing an internet connection. But it kind of takes a person to figure that out on their own. Even with me saying it, I guess not ignoring the experience of the world, without needing that device, because there was a time when it was all good without it. And I think today, kind of reflecting on the changes of the internet and the upgrades of the devices, it's like, we're advancing, but we're also hindering the experience of learning and getting knowledge. And if it's just being old-fashioned, then maybe I'm romanticizing being old-fashioned. But
Jesus,
that was exciting. I mean, looking back now, going to the library or needing to check out books because there's information that you need to take from it. That's college, but it's just it just seems like there was a time when we were all doing that in school, and school looks way different now. So I don't know. Just being aware of our cell phone usage, and if you're from the younger generation, maybe once in a while turning it off, just for the sake of knowing the world versus learning about the world through the phone.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Are you going to jump on the bandwagon? Are you going to get an implant? Would you be willing to get an implant if it were generally available, like next month? Would you consider getting an implant in your brain?
I think.
Or maybe if they just shave your head in one patch and just put it on top of your skull instead of in your skull?
I'm not against the idea. I think, if it were a legit, success rate of that happening, where you can have your smartphone connected to your brain and you're kind of able to, maneuver more coolly in the virtual world. I think I'm for that. And remember what was it, the bots, the xenobots, mimicking human connection and
yeah. Have you still not seen her?
Well, that was us talking about it, and kind of for a while I was almost thinking about joining that because it seemed
to give it a try.
It seemed exciting to try.
Yeah.
And think just in the sense of knowing that there's a robot or a computer that's designed to respond to what you're saying. I like that idea versus, not to say I don't want to go out and try to find people to talk with, but it's just like, oh, this computer or this robot is capable of responding to what you're asking.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool, but
yeah.
Well,
in our story, it helped that guy say his goodbyes to somebody who was no longer there. You know, there was relief in that.
So it was like therapy bots.
Therapy
That's
bots.
what it was called.
The episode, Therapy Bots. I'm thinking about what Bill Burr said about plastic surgery. He's like, people are getting it now, they're like, damn, this is so great, I wish I did it a long time ago. And he's like, no, you don't. He's like, yeah, you want to spend all kinds of money and be one of the first people to get to look like a lizard? You know, like he says, you know, look, he's like, don't be a hero. Let the other people go out and get it. And then once they've killed a bunch of people and after, you know, they work out the kinks, then maybe start considering getting it. Like, that's what I'm thinking about with the whole implant. Let them work the kinks out. Like, I'm kind of thinking about my cell phone. Even when I got the smartphone, I got it way later, and it wasn't really like, I'm gonna wait. It was more like I'm broke as fuck almost the majority of my young life. So every time I got to do the expensive thing, it was way later. Like, I own a PlayStation 4 now, but they're already out with the PlayStation 5 or whatever it's called. You know what I mean? So I tend to get the technology way late. You know? So, like, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I kind of jumped into your idea here, but I'm just thinking, like, man, like, I'm hoping for all this extra, all this wonder, all this, you know, there'll be this whole world of, you know, they're saying it's to serve us, to improve our life. And you're saying, oh, well, you want to try out this therapy bot. I'm curious myself. But I'll probably wind up using it way later. After version 2.0 already comes out, I'll be trying out version 1.0.
Yeah, well, I guess, like, you're even with the books too, like, we're in a place where we're constantly changing, we're constantly getting new information, constantly updating, and like, I guess that's cool and all, but like, during those times when they're updating, like, does that mean the information is not as important? And by that way of thinking, like, all the information you're getting is never going to be that important because you're always trying to learn a new thing versus master, like, the first version of it, or I don't know. I'm just saying, like, when you were talking about, like, oh, I'm gonna be on 1.0 when 2.0 comes out, it's like you're still getting that program or that whatever, but you're already kind of acknowledging that there's a newer, faster one that you're not getting.
It's on its way. If it's not already here, it's on its way.
Yeah. But, like, we always assume, or at least for me, I mean, it's like under the assumption that it's it's newer and higher, it's better. And I think that's kind of where we're constantly going to be always, like, putting ourselves not down, but just sort of like, oh, we're learning this information, but the information's going to be obsolete pretty soon.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to get the new.
Yeah. Well, I think because this is the smartphone episode, I think it's important to acknowledge that we have peaked at the smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the signs of it is when they start improving features that already exist on it. So, yes, we've made it to the smartphone, and they're kind of hit a wall. So now they're improving the camera, they're improving the broadband. You know, we're going to 5G.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're still trying to recreate they're trying to recreate the wheel. Every year there's a new cell phone. But they haven't advanced much beyond that. It's like, oh, now there's folding screens. Oh, great. You know, maybe that's people going, oh, well, we're breaking our screens all the time, but if you could fold it, it's safe now. But in my mind, that's a step back to the flip phone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, it's bendable now. Don't you have one of those?
Yeah.
I feel like you do. Well, I'm saying I feel like it's important to acknowledge that we have peaked in cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because it's so developed, now they're trying to redevelop all the old features of it. Like, now there's a studio quality camera in there that you could film, you know, a big screen movie with this little thing that you hold in your hand. You know, now the broadband is so fast, you can receive 5G, 5 gigabytes a second. You know, like they've peaked, and they're grasping at straws, trying to still improve it. But I feel like they've kind of hit this like plateau, and that's where Meta comes in. That's where virtual reality is being tested again. Like in theaters, when they started doing the 3D, they were acting like it was brand new, but it wasn't. That's old ass technology. Like old as fuck.
Yeah.
Like it was new when my parents were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I know I just said, oh, they're old as fuck, but I'm saying, like, at some point the theater experience had peaked, and then they started going, oh, well, let's grasp at old straws and make it new. It's kind of like how they keep remaking movies. Like it's like there's no more creativity. They peaked in the story in a movie, and if they run out of ideas, then they start bringing back old movies and they redo them. Which I think is kind of lazy, but anyway, it's what they do. It's what we always do. And right now, I would like to say, just so it's on the recording, I feel like we've peaked at cell phones.
I think so.
And the next step, the next breakthrough really will be this cybernetic implant in our skull. And they're working on it. They are literally working on it. Like I've seen them have a pig control, like play Pong with this brain implant. And I think they even had like a dog speaking English. Like they were trying to translate the dog's sounds or thoughts or feelings into words. And all it was a chip in the brain taking an impulse, a thought, a feeling, a reaction, whatever it was, an electrical impulse, and turning it into something else. So I want everybody who's listening to think about that. Think about what the next step is and kind of be ready for it. Because it's coming. I feel like we've peaked. And the next step is going to be something freaky and wild, because we're basically burning up all that we can right now. Like all the features are being improved because they've peaked. The world of technology has peaked at the cell phone. And now they're improving everything else because they can. Because now the cell phone works. It does exactly what it's supposed to. The smartphone, you can't really go beyond what it's at right now. Unless you started putting it in your brain, putting it on your skull, and entering virtual reality like Meta. And I think they're really setting up to create the Matrix. We're always saying, oh, are we in the Matrix? If we're not in it now, we're going to be. Guaranteed. Yeah. And that is what Meta is. It's them getting in on the ground floor, setting up they're buying a spot at the table of the next big thing. And it looks all dinky and we can't all use it right now, but that's what they're doing. They're putting a placeholder on the next big thing. And when it finally breaks, when they finally figure it out and it becomes something, they're already gonna have a seat at the table. So for listeners, man, think about it. Think about what seemed impossible a long time ago, like carrying a fucking supercomputer in your pocket, to versus whatever you can imagine in our very soon future. You know, all the movies we watch, at one point it was just theoretical, just somebody's crazy idea, and very short years later, we got it. And now we're working on it. And super soldiers, you know, smart bombs, Matrix. It's coming. And I think cell phones are a great example of how far we've come, and proof that we've peaked because they're developing the camera now, they're developing the sound, they're developing the signal. They've peaked at the ability of a smartphone, and they're spreading out the abilities of the smartphone because they're peaked. It's like, oh, we figured it out, that we've gotten this as far as it can go, and now we're going to improve everything else. And that's what they're doing right now. So everybody else, the big tech people, even if they're not talking about it, they're working on the next step. And as soon as they get it, as soon as they can make a profit, as soon as it's quote-unquote safe, they're going to push it on us. And people are going to be scrambling to buy it up because it's something new. So, I don't know, if you're listening to this, get ready. Think about it. Think about what's coming. And be ready for it. And be ready for the day where you're too old that your kid or somebody's kid or your grandkid's going to have to show you how to use this new stuff. It's coming. And it's probably faster than you can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay? Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, thanks for everybody tuning in. If you made it this far, thanks for listening and tuning into the Reservation Radio Network. This is the Natives in America podcast. Like and subscribe and comment. I hope this got your guys' noodles going. And stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to have some guests lined up. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
See you in the Matrix.
Oh, Dad, don't say that. Yeah, we'll see you in there. I'll be in there.
I'll be there.
Pooping in my brain water. I'm going to be pooping in the same water I'm charging batteries with. Okay. Okay, all right. Goodbye. Good night, everybody.
Eating mush.
Yeah, eating your... okay. Bye, everybody.